Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live in the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio, a Helium Radio, Every Radio, and also neilhaley.com for more information. And we continue to have an unbelievable event. I can't believe every year, Miami Book Fair. And this year I was like, you know what, am I going to have time? But somehow I have to make time because we have done it for 8 years. But I want, again, to acknowledge 35 years, the Miami Book Fair. The Super Bowl of books, as I said, and if you've never experienced the Miami Book Fair, you need to experience it. And someday I'll be back in Miami, trust me. I know it for a fact. I don't know what year I was telling Lisa, maybe 50. That 50th anniversary, we'll be there. And we'll have a lot of people. Hopefully my oldest daughter and other kids can volunteer at the book fair. We'll put that out, 50th anniversary in Miami. Eric will be covering it live there. All right.
Sounds good to me.
Make a date 15 years from now, but I'm excited to welcome my co-host, Eric Remmel. We have another amazing guest, so let's just go ahead and go with it. Jon McGoran. Jon, thanks for calling, and are you going to be at the 50th? You're already putting it in the calendar, Jon.
I am hoping to. I am definitely hoping to. This is my first one. My sister and brother-in-law live in Miami. They've been telling me about it for years, and as much as they raved about it, it did not quite do it justice. It's an amazing, amazing event, and I hope to never miss it again.
Well, you want to be invited every time, so you got to start cranking out books, Jon.
Exactly.
Crank them out, but that's what happened. So let's talk about how you became an author. Tell us the story.
Sure. You know, I wrote short stories when I was a kid. You know, I always kind of thought of myself as a writer. I took I studied creative writing in high school and college, and then I dropped out of college to play music for 10 or 11 years. And then as I went back to school, I did not become a rich and famous musician, but which is just as well, because then I probably wouldn't have returned to writing, which is my first and my main love. So I went back to it, started writing, wrote a couple of books that didn't get published, and then started writing books that did.
Okay, that's a great story for people, because I'm telling you, Jon, there are so many people that have that story. I want to get published. Well, you didn't at first, and then you did. So that's a great story. So tell us that.
Yeah, so it's it was a real learning experience, and one of the things that was great, the time that I had spent as a songwriter and musician, a lot of the creative tools that I developed writing songs really did carry over to writing prose and even to writing novels, the longer form prose. But I learned a lot about how to write a novel by writing a novel, and when I first started doing it, there were three things that I was afraid of, and the first was that I wasn't going to enjoy doing it, and the second was that I wasn't going to finish it, and the third was that it was going to be terrible. The 2 out of 3, because I loved it and I did finish it, but it was terrible. But I learned a lot about why it was terrible, and it actually ended up being a lot better. Rewriting is incredibly important, revising and editing. But by the time I got the first book to the stage where I thought that it was actually pretty good, and that I was starting to get some feedback and bites from agents, I had finished the second book, which was a lot tighter. And that got me an agent, and my initial path to publication was kind of weird. My agent shopped the novel that I had written, and she took it to Penguin, and they said, well, we really like it. It's well written, but it's not what we're looking for. Could you write a forensic series? And when you're trying to get published and a major publisher asks you if you can do it, you say, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. Which it was something that I had thought about. It was definitely in my, I like the overlap of mystery and crime and thriller with science, so forensics was kind of a good fit for me. But then they said they wanted 3 80,000-word manuscripts in 18 months, which which was a bit of it was a bit of a challenge, but I did it, and I learned a lot about writing and about process and about being disciplined, and the importance of outlines. I'm a bit of a proselytizer for outlines, which not everybody is, and different processes work for different writers, absolutely. So whatever works for you, but for me it was great, and it saved my cookies more than once, trying to finish those books under tight deadlines. And then, so I've written, I guess, 8 books since then, and my 9th is coming out in May.
Fabulous. So, what's the current book you're promoting? Tell us about it.
So my current book is my first young adult novel, and it's called Spliced. It's coming out. It came out last year. It's coming out in paperback in February. It is a near future science fiction thriller about a time when the technology of gene splicing is so mature, is so kind of commonplace that it's available on the street as a form of body modification. So young people kind of who might be into extreme body modification splice animal genes into themselves for with different effects. And there's a political, social backlash from certain quarters, and the law is pushed through. It's kind of used as a wedge issue to pass a law that states that anyone whose DNA is not 100% human is no longer legally a person. So it works on a lot of levels as a metaphor for a lot of different things that we're seeing today and that we might see tomorrow. But it's also, these technologies are becoming more and more mature, and there's also, part of the book deals with computer implants, which people get, which has different effects. And so metaphorically, it addresses a lot of things that are going on today. It also looks at a lot of issues that I think are going to become really important questions in the coming decades. But it's also, there's a lot of action, there's a little bit of romance, there's some humor. It's kind of I think it addresses some serious issues, but it does it in a really fun story.
So you're talking about this is a young adult novel, but when you're going into gene splicing and things like that, that's just really interesting. And do you see this ever being a TV show or anything? Is that a goal of yours?
It is actually, and we're I have an agent in Hollywood who's shopping it around right now. So hopefully, I would love it. I think it would be really ripe for it. I think it's kind of a great world for something like for television. I think there's a lot of places it could go. I actually kind of could see several seasons down the road. So here's hoping.
So Sci-Fi Channel, here you come, maybe.
Yeah, here. Who knows, right?
Because, again, they're the ones that jump on it, but other people are interested as well in many, many ways. So, John, basically Splintered is going to be the sequel of this then, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. And
so it's all going back into that. So how do you form these characters really quickly, the characters in these books?
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's such a different process when you're writing a series and when you're writing a book that's not the first in the series. It's kind of great in a way. So for me, my process, I usually start with an idea, with like a hook, a nugget of an idea, and then one of the first questions I ask is who would be involved in this? What kind of person would do the things that I'm or be involved in the situations that I envision, and then you kind of flesh it out from there. But with a sequel, for the most part, a lot of the characters are from the first book, and in a way, it's very different in a lot of ways. There's something great about creating a character out of whole cloth, from the beginning, but it's really tremendous to be able to revisit the characters and kind of take them down that next stretch of road and see what's next for them and see how they're going to change and grow. And then also at the same time introduce new characters. It's been a little while since I was a young adult, but I still remember it pretty vividly. My son is a teenager. Kind of watching him and watching his friends. It was very instructive as well. But that's one of the things I love about being a writer is kind of being able to put yourself in the shoes of people who are very different from yourself and kind of really think about things from their point of view and try to get a glimpse of how the world looks to them.
then I think that's very fascinating, and best of luck to you, Jon. Where's the best place we can find information on, connect with you, and learn more about you? Where can we go?
You can go to JonMcGoran.com or Spliced.world. And actually, if you go to Spliced.world, there's a tab there to splice yourself. You can upload a picture of yourself, decide which animal you want to get spliced with, and see how you'd look as a lion or a snow leopard or an owl. Don't do the owl; it'll haunt your nightmares. It's very disturbing.
All right, thanks for calling. Take care, Jon.
All right, thanks. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.